first of all, thank you and welcome everyone. I hope that a lot more other people from our community are going to see this a little later, as I think we're really creating something that is valuable for our community members, and I'd like to share it with as many people as possible. So first of all, it's really nice to see familiar faces again. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Cecile. I'm the co-founder and chairperson of GITA. It's been a vision of Lihi and myself for a long time. So now we're seeing quite a lot of work around that and results. And I'm really thrilled that we're finally launching our first product, the title Impact Tech Handbook. So first of all, thanks, right? So for people who were deep in the preparation of this handbook, for Lihi, Thomas, Karen, Yannick, Ravit, Noah, Amber, and of course, our friends at the title team, Julia, Dima, and Mo. I hope I didn't miss anyone. And I really wanted to take this opportunity to update you around what GITA is doing, what's the status, and where we're going from here. So as you know, Lihi and I started GITA out of our own pain and experience that we both felt. And we felt there was a lack of available knowledge and experience for practitioners, impact tech practitioners, as well as the lack of communication between like-minded individuals around the world who are already practicing but not really connecting. We set up GITA with a really big vision of fixing this universe and creating an ecosystem to scale impact tech investing. But like all good startups, and we've all been in this domain, we aimed very high and took upon ourselves more than we could actually perform, and found ourselves pretty much unable to address all the targets at the same time. So we gradually focused more and more on the core value that could be given to our community, and came up with several products that you're going to be exposed to in the very near future. The first one is presented today, the title Handbook. Going forward, we're focusing even more. We're going to try to make sure that we serve our purpose and provide maximum value to our members. So we're going to start by building a series of sub-communities out of the whole GITA community that will give a sort of a deep dive into challenges and solutions for each particular group, create partnerships, build opportunities. And the first group is going to be the Impact Tech Investors sub-community. So that's going to be the first out of others, which will be aimed at founders, ecosystem builders, etc. But the first one, as I said, is going to be for impact tech investors. So I'm inviting all impact tech investors out there in our community and outside of it to please apply to participate in that first sub-community, which is going to be a closed community that will hopefully contribute to everyone's success and benefit from the crowd's and the group's wisdom. We're going to try to attract as many people that are practitioners in that space from everywhere, so please do share. And in the future, we'll continue to build new sub-communities, like I said, impact tech founders, ecosystem builders, consultants, and others in parallel. And of course, in parallel, we'll continue to support the GITA wider community with events, knowledge, and connections like we have before. I hope you'll all continue this journey with us, which is more focused, more valuable, I think, and help serve our communal purpose of integrating the world of high tech and impact, increase the amount of venture capital that is currently allocated to impact tech and will be allocated in the future, and scale this ecosystem to eventually really do become the new normal. So it's still a big vision, still a big challenge, but we're hoping to, by focusing on these sub-communities, to really focus on the greatest value that we can provide to our members and launch in that way. So please do share, please reach out so we can build this community and make it as precise as possible so that we can move on to the next communities. And now I'll happily hand it back to you, Noah, to introduce the project.
Thank you so much, Cecile. I've also just shared the link in the chat for anybody who wants to join that sub-community. It's invite only, and we have an application that's live. you can apply right through this Google form. And again, share it with anybody you think would make a good fit for that community. Next, I'm going to hand it off to Lihi. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, guys. Thank you all. It's great to see everyone here. Indeed, this has been a long journey, and we had kind of this vision of having a startup kind of 1, 2, 3 of anyone interested in learning more about how a VC would look like if it integrated impact practices. Tidal Impact, which is represented here, was a great partner in this process, and we tried different ways to also include more and more actors that are actually practitioners doing this. And that's how we kind of went on this journey. It's been a while, and we're really happy that we finally have this kind of handbook that we can start. We do see it as a starting point. First of all, the first starting point is really here when we present it to you guys. We're also sharing this video and the link to everyone else in our community, as Cecile mentioned, that has experience in this space, for comments, edits, corrections, to make sure that this handbook is actually effective and useful for anyone starting on their way to be both a VC investor and an impact investor, and how that is integrated. So I think the idea that for a tool that we're creating together as a community, that we can share with the people around us that are thinking about it, that are on their first steps of this journey. And in many ways, it does fit a kind of adjusted mission of GITA in working with our community to create a path for making the impact approach mainstream in the VC space, knowing that those investing in the future should be really looking at how that future is going to look like and who is it advancing, using the methodologies acceptable in the impact world. I'll mention, Cecile mentioned there's a few more products in the way. I'll mention one more. We have created, together with an academic partner, we created a great survey, which the idea is that we can send out to anyone we know who is a quote unquote regular VC investor, to ask them how they perceive the impact world, and basically the barriers that they see for them to adopting responsibility, impact, or climate practices. So we work together with economists to create this survey. And the main purpose of that survey is to ask as many traditional venture capital investors about how they perceive the impact investing world, in order to understand the barriers that they see for them to move. And then us, the community, can start, addressing those barriers one by one and cutting down any kind of thing that is stopping venture capitalists to adopt these practices. So I will send that link as well here. And I do invite you guys either to think, who do you know that is currently not an impact investor, that you'd like to kind of record the conversation that they're saying, the barriers that they perceive, and that we can all collect that as an industry and see how we can bring them in. So that's kind of another cool thing going on. There's many more, I'm sure Thomas and Noah will mention them as well. But the purpose of this real handbook is for those who are interested to be able to have their first steps, guided steps on how to do it and how it would look. And we try to bring as many real world practical examples of, an impact assessment for a VC. We have different kind of matrix throughout engagement with Tidal and with Yannick. And we are really looking forward to your feedback and to kind of spread this out around the world. Thank you so much for everyone here involved.
Thank you, Lihi. And now we're going to hand it off to Julia.
Hi, everyone. Very happy to be here. Wanted to first take a moment to reflect on this journey. I mean, I think we started right when the pandemic hit, right? I remember the first GITA meetup, virtual meetup was like one of the first that I attended during the pandemic, which was great. And yeah, Cecile and I, when we met, which is now what, 3 years ago or more than 3 years ago, just had a great connection, and so nice to see that then this whole community emerged. And also Lihi, that we met. I mean, we never met in person, but at least it felt like we definitely had met in person after all these calls that we had. And at the very beginning, it actually wasn't even an impact investing or impact measurement group that we had. It was around collaboration and what we can do to get more players to collaborate in this field. And then after a lot of different sessions and calls, realized, hey, we actually need to put out something tangible that people can use, because everyone can talk about collaboration, but what does collaboration actually look like in practice, right? And so you're like, well, we want to offer something that we all collaborate on that is going to be useful for people in this community. And obviously the most useful thing was going to be something for other investors, right? Because there were so many different investors all looking to move into impact investing. And so we said, okay, at Tidal, we are very intentional about how we measure impact. And that was a huge discussion with other people, because they had different methods. And we're like, well, shouldn't we all come together and create a more standardized method to measure impact, or at least make it more available to people so they don't come up with all sorts of new things and it not leading to a desired outcome that we all want. So just a quick background on Tidal. So we at Tidal Impact are a global impact management and investment company. So we're a little bit of a different animal in that sense. We're not exactly a venture capital firm, not exactly a fund. So one part of what we do is working, advising, consulting other companies on how they can measure their impact. So we really try to walk the talk and help them create frameworks, define metrics, create reports, and all of these things. And on the other hand, we've created a nice group or coalition of loads of different investors around the world who all want to allocate their capital towards impactful opportunities. And we look at investment opportunities together, and then yeah, get those people to all come in with us. And we have interesting plans already lined up for the remainder of the year, also looking at our own investment vehicle and a couple of other things. But ultimately our philosophy was, how can we be an impact investor that really stays true to the impact, both in terms of how we measure the impact of the companies, but also in terms of how we really provide companies with the opportunity to create long-term impact, and not expecting them to, let's say, generate a financial return within the coming 4 to 5 years that is expected in the traditional, venture capital industry. So that's a little bit about us. Again, very happy to have contributed to this in the playbook. We have talked a little bit about our approach, how we have structured our own framework, how we approach our due diligence process. And obviously, if anyone is more interested, happy to talk about it, as we're also continuously iterating in the process. And I'm going to end with at 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we had our own playbook and we had our own approach. But again, like, our approach has changed so much. So even in the last couple of months, we kind of revamped this handbook, because we also constantly need to learn from others and how they're doing things. So I guess this is a good opportunity to learn from each other.
100%. Thank you, Julia. All right, I'm going to hand it off over to Alexander. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And yeah, pleasure to be here. Also in Yannick's name, who cannot make it here tonight, unfortunately. But yeah, thanks to everyone that's been with us here in this process. And yeah, it's been really great. We contributed our scoring model and methodology to the handbook, and yeah, we still believe in this approach, and we refine it every day in our work. And it's been quite a journey over the last couple of years for us also. Yeah, the key challenges basically that we worked on was to develop, just like we've heard before here, an approach that we believe in, that's in line with international best practice, but at the same time also is suitable to the needs of the ventures that are going to apply this as users. And that's why we've been fine-tuning it, creating other products and methodologies around it. And yeah, nowadays offer software tools that help ventures and VCs to benchmark ESG and impact performance across the portfolio, track KPIs, and also get improvement suggestions. And that's really the key where we believe in. Also, the book can help in our day-to-day work with investors and companies to convince those that are in the beginning of this journey to take their steps to implement more impact measurement and management into their VCs, into their operations. And yeah, we hope that our work can inspire those actors to do so, and the handbook is definitely a great tool for that. Yeah, as you can see in the scoring model approach that we outlined there, we really believe that impact knowledge will be a key differentiator for all actors involved in the future, and we see a continuous shift in this direction. Of course, for us, being based in the European Union, the legislative side has been a big work that we've been tackling. There has been efforts on the regulatory side that we welcome, and we still engage with those actors to improve it. But nevertheless, we work on this and try to have our tools being in line with these new legislations that are coming out, which we believe is a great opportunity for the space here in Europe. And the second big topic that we work on that has been also with us from the start is to make it easier to do impact management and measurement in our tools. So automation is a big topic there. We're continuously trying to automate processes to find smart ways of making it easier for our users and customers to work with the tools. And yeah, so those are some of the big issues that we're tackling at the moment. And I'm very happy to engage with you, of course, and see where this is going. And yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much, Alexander. And I just want to say that we will have a time for questions in just a bit. But next up, we have Thomas joining us from Berlin. Hi, Thomas. So you're moving.
Okay, so I want to begin by again thanking everybody who's contributed to this. This has been a long journey, and it began, as Julia pointed out, as part of the community, and then finally, after Impact Nexus and Alexander joined, and Lihi was bringing in her expertise. Amber deserves the credit to putting this all together into what we have in our hands now, pulling together all of the strands. So a big hand for that. Thank you. I'd like to expand a tiny little bit on in my own way of how to describe what and why we do what we do with GITA. And I'm pretty sure that all of you are familiar with the Limits to Growth report. And we're at least familiar with it. Maybe we haven't read it, but what is specifically interesting is a meta-analysis of the empirical data that happened 2 years ago by a young lady called Gaia Harrington at KPMG USA. She used to be head of sustainability services there. She did that with Harvard, and they looked at 3 scenarios. One was business as usual, which is what the name implies. The other one is stabilized world, and the third one is comprehensive technology. And stabilized world, the main assumption in stabilized world is that we change our civilization-wide incentive structure from maximization of profit and GDP to maximization of education and health. And in comparative technology, our optimization function is collaboration, global collaboration, and technology. So now what's interesting in all of these 3 is the population curve over this century. So in all 3 scenarios, they span 1900 to 2100. And in business as usual, our population peaks at around 2030, 2040. and then rapidly declines to almost 1900 levels, which is at around 3 billion people. That's not something anybody wishes anybody to live through, right? So both stabilized world and comprehensive technology stabilize at around 8 billion around 2030. So that's something that might be nice, right? And changing the overall incentive structure for civilization is a bit more than we could think we could do. But what we can do is bring people into collaboration around technology and using technology for good, right? And this handbook signifies exactly that approach, right? This has been lifted from the community, with the community, in a collaborative effort, and it will continue. This is today, it's just the beginning, right? I'm gonna put in my email in the chat now, and please reach out if you want to deepen the conversation around the handbook, right? Both Julia and Alexander said we're constantly evolving this, right? This is what we've written 2 years ago is not the current state of the art. What if we could all learn from one another and create an even better version of that book, or build on that book and build verticals on top of it for different industries, because every industry is different, right? So this is an invitation to join us, and pop me an email, t@GITA Global, and okay, mistyped, and to come together in a series of workshops, self-organized through and with the community, and GITA will support you in this, to expand on the work. So that's what I wanted to bring into the picture. Back to you, Noah.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Okay, now is a great time for some Q&A. If you have any questions for any of the speakers, or looking for an elaboration on something that was hit upon, this is the time. The floor is open. Or if someone wants to say something that hasn't been said.
If I maybe can jump in and break the ice, thank you. Very interesting. I already downloaded and going through the content. I believe I'm curious about what you said. I believe, Cecilia, at the beginning, you said that this is just the beginning. So I would be curious if you could unveil a bit more the strategy for research and analysis going forward.
Yeah, so when we started GITA, we really wanted to, we had a few pillars that we're thinking about around education and students, and supporting impact tech investors, and supporting entrepreneurs, and working on a database, and collaborate around the members of the community, build the communities. And we had approaches from around the world to build GITA, local GITA communities. And we were thinking about the knowledge center. There's really too much. And Andreas, you've been involved with early stage startups for longer than me, I think. And it really, I mean, we couldn't grasp it all. And we really tried to do a lot, and the team here, and Lihi in particular, really made a big effort to satisfy everyone's needs, but it was really impossible. So we were thinking, so what is the biggest value that we can bring right now, and how do we focus going forward? So the focus, we think, is by creating these sub-communities which are closed and are not just open to everyone, that will enable people to really talk shop. So if you have an impact tech investor, you should be in that group. If you're an impact tech entrepreneur, you should be in that group. If you're an impact tech ecosystem builder, you should be in that group. So we'll build different groups. Each subgroup like that will have its members, its resources, its could be Notion pages, collaboration ideas, all kinds of cross-pollination between organizations that people are involved in. So obviously the members of GITA are involved in other organizations too, and they're practitioners themselves, so they bring a lot of knowledge. So so we're refocusing on creating these topical or maybe thematic values in terms of the specific community. That's I think what will help GITA bring the biggest value to its members, but also help them scale and collaborate. And then we move on to the next community. In that way, we can start weave it between each other. And unfortunately, we're not going to be doing any one-on-one education in terms of courses for universities, but we are going to create an online recorded course that will be able to be downloadable by academics who will want to use it. Or we're not going to be able to work one-on-one with funds that need some consulting on how to build an impact strategy, but we will have the title handbook and other handbooks that will help them actually take their steps into building that impact component in the VC, or build an impact tech VC from scratch. Or same goes for entrepreneurs. We'll build these resources that need to be as generic as possible and take people as forward as we possibly can, with the help of the community by building these collaborations. Does that make more sense?
Jörg, you wrote in the chat.
Hi there. Yeah, thanks very much, everybody, for elaborating. I was just curious to hear, because I think one of the values a group such as GITA provides is also the cross-pollination between investors and startups. So I'm just wondering, you know, once one has allocated or has been allocated to a group, whether, you know, there will also be cross-pollination activities between the different groups.
I think, Thomas, maybe you want to answer that?
Yeah, I can. So we will listen very closely to what each group wants, right? So we want to be in support of the demands of the group. So we will probably understand what where cross-pollination might need to occur or should occur. We will definitely also open or offer generally open spaces to everyone. So the open space format we tested in Germany will be restarted very soon. Noah, I'm not sure about the dates, next week, maybe the week after. For everybody, where everybody is invited to join. However, we believe that these sub-communities need to be trusted places to be able to, how Cecile phrased it, to be able to talk shop, right? If you mix entrepreneurs and investors, you have different missions in the conversation that should be kept separate, at least in part. So in order to have a proper conversation. So we try to cater for both, but we definitely see the need for cross-pollination. Does that answer your question?
Yep, I guess. I think we'll have to put in practice.
Yeah, I'll also mention that by creating these kind of shared tools where we're putting together a whole group of impact VCs, you know, coming together with something that we slowly all agree with, I think by passing that over to the startup community, and they can see a very clear kind of indicators and management style of what impact VCs look for and how they check if a company is relevant for them, they could learn a lot. So I think there's cross-pollination coming out from sharing the products properly between the communities and really explaining how they go through. And maybe that's kind of just a clearer voice because sometimes it can get confusing when you're trying to actually create knowledge products. And besides that, I think a lot of our events and our activities are for everyone. And so that, I think, is a place where you can see the different positions and hats the community members are wearing come into place. If it's on our, you know, social media groups or whatever, you can see the different voices coming in there. But I think we're also open to learn about more needs coming out from the community, and happy to do maybe very specific kind of, climate tech entrepreneurs and investors. What are they looking for, or whatever kind of comes up that is effective and useful.
Awesome.
I think that a lot of the needs come out of these discussions in the groups. And talking about cross-pollination, it's not only between entrepreneurs and VCs, it's also about different frameworks and different communities which are adjacent, like the venture ESG community, which is talking to mainstream VCs adopting ESG. How are they connected to impact? Or Catapult, for example, who's doing a lot on impact and tech and can expand. So there's a lot of cross-pollination to be done. I think we need to answer the actual needs of the actual people who are in those groups. So we need to listen very carefully. The communities will be moderated. We'll hear what people want to learn more about, what they want to discuss, who they want to meet. There could be, for example, a need to start discussing how does Web3 help us in our world of impact and impact accounting and ESG and carbon and whatnot. Then we'll bring an expert to talk about that. Could be events for the wider community, could be events for the sub-communities. So we'll try to manage it more focused, and that way increase the value that every person gets from that community.
Also, the GITA open spaces that Thomas mentioned start next week. They're on Tuesdays at the same time. And they'll always be based on the blog post that we put out in the email the day before. And the link for that is in the email. Anybody else? Any other burning questions?
Are there going to be any physical meetups now that we can meet up again with GITA?
I just wanted to go in that direction because this actually should be a big celebration here. But it's hard to celebrate after spending the last 2.5 years in Zoom. So yes, we should come together and meet and celebrate for sure. We haven't planned anything yet, but Noah and I have been discussing some ideas.
I think the best thing that can happen now is that we all spread the word, first of all about the actual handbook and the future products that GITA is going to be releasing in the next few weeks, and invite the first members of the subcommunity, the impact tech investors, to join the group. Either by invitation or by exposing them, or just any way that's, or by bringing it to our attention that we'd like to add these people, and we will initiate the connection and try to get them into the community. There are impact tech investors out there, a lot of them, in all geographies. I was personally approached by a lot of people from the west coast of the US to Vietnam, I think, in the east, and even China and India. So they're out there. Let's bring them together to collaborate. So your help, anyone that is connected to our community and can be connected, please do reach out to them, or help us reach out to them so we can expand and serve that community. At the end of the day, GITA is a not-for-profit organization. It's here to serve the community. As I always said, it's by the community and for the community. It's here for us as practitioners, as people who care about that, to really scale ourselves and make sure that we spend investors' capital in the best way possible that really creates a strong impact. and help direct startups into developing tech solutions to our biggest challenges. So this is really our role. And I think we're all here because we believe in that role. And that's why I'm asking for your help and your collaboration to help us grow that community so we can really serve the purpose we were set up for. This is, it's really about that kind of collaboration and a shared vision or shared values that we all want to push forward. So your help is really appreciated here.
Thank you for that. Anybody else?
Just want to take the last minute maybe to reiterate what Lee has been saying, and she also put a link here in the chat. So Lee and Karen, who's also here on the call, have been working on with the Hebrew University in Jerusalem on trying to understand what holds investors back from becoming impact investors. And maybe that's a useful thing to know for everybody who's in impact investing in our everyday conversations. So if you have had conversations with investors who don't understand what you're doing, these are the people that should get this link. So please forward it to them so that they can help us understand what's going on.
Yeah, and then forward them the handbook so that they join us.
Amazing. Well, if anybody here is not in our Discord community, please join. That's the best place to kind of stay in touch. We have the link to the VC sub-community in the chat. I can go ahead and put that one more time. Thank you, Laura, for the kind words. Here we go. Here's the link to join the sub-community. The Discord group link is also on the website, but here I'll get it to you as well. Once you enter your email on the website, you'll get an email with a link to the Discord. Cool. And otherwise, we're available at our emails, Noah@GITA.global, Thomas, who goes by T at GITA.global. And I think we are wrapping this up now, unless anybody has any parting words.
Just thank you again for all the people who are busy preparing that handbook and giving it to the community. Just think about the hard work that is put in for everybody's purpose or everybody's benefit. So I appreciate that. I'm sure you do too. And look out for our next products that are going to come out really soon. And do comment on the handbook. Like Julia said, we want to learn, we want to expand, we want to increase, we want to think about the next level, and just be with us. And thank you all.
Yeah.